Alrighty, well, hey, this is another episode of On with Sean, and today I've got some people from Property Management Inc. It's a nationwide company for property managers, and I've got Brad. I literally lost it again. Mestina.
Sorry.
I knew that's like in my head, but we got Brad Mestina and Dan Mock here. And real quick, if you guys could just tell me a little bit about yourselves, and we'll start getting to some questions. But what do you guys do?
Go ahead, Dan.
Property management.
Boom.
What else you want to know? All right.
That's it. So this is the end of the podcast. So we're good now.
Yeah, send us your money, and we'll send you back more.
I love it.
Yeah, that's a short version. I mean, as far as on the brief overview, I mean, I ended up in property management, and I think we share similar backstory. Is we both were holding properties and disappointed with having it covered elsewhere.
For sure.
And one way or the other, however we grow and whatever else we do. Rentals are an important part of anybody's portfolio, and having them perform well is important. So,
for sure.
Yeah, there's the short version.
Absolutely, I love that. Brad, how about you?
Yeah, I've been in real estate since the late '90s, about '97ish. I've done all aspects
For sure.
of real estate, from new construction to flipping to rental. I've always owned rental properties, and like Dan said, as we build more and more of a portfolio, I had no intention of managing my own properties.
Yeah.
But the market that we're in, which is, if you own, 1 to 100 properties, is very underserved.
Yep.
So we, after looking for people to help with that, it just didn't work out. I said, you know what, forget it. I'm going to build my own.
Yeah.
So
I love it.
So the rest is history.
Sure. Very nice. Yeah, so out of because you've been in real estate for a while, and I love, so like, I heard someone say it a while ago, it's like, real estate is like, I started looking at people that were successful, and he's like, I stopped looking because it's like everyone had a real estate portfolio, and he's like, as far as emotional like maturity or people, he's like, people were vulnerable. He's like, so those are the two things I started to implement in my life. I forget who that was, but either way, it's like, you should, if you want any type of, I won't say financial freedom, but any type of performing portfolio, you need some type of real estate.
Yeah, wealth. It's the ultimate wealth builder.
Yeah, 100%.
Build businesses by real estate.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's I think it was Robert Kiyosaki said that. I'm sure a lot of people said that, but yeah. So, but it's true. It doesn't matter how you build it, but to hold it and build true wealth, I don't know of a better vehicle.
For sure.
So.
And it's kind of appropriate that you guys focus on the management systems to create that wealth for other people as well.
Right.
But allows you the system and the logistics side of it to scale it for your own benefit as well. So in that, I would say, because you've been in real estate since 97, then what has been your favorite part of it? And did it have something to do with the crash? If like your favorite part was before 2007, 2008, or what was one of your favorite aspects of real estate in and of itself, or is what you're currently now doing your favorite part?
I would say my favorite aspect for me is probably pre-2008, because ignorance is bliss.
Yeah.
I thought I was a genius.
Yeah.
I was brilliant back then, man. You should have seen me, man.
I was, man.
I was unbelievable,
I love it.
So, and I had it all figured out. I saw the crash coming.
Yeah.
I was reading books. I mean, there was books about it. I mean, it wasn't a secret. Nobody had any idea how bad it was going to be.
Yeah.
But I mean, there was books on the coming real estate crash and this,
Yeah.
and it just was obvious. When I was sitting across from somebody, I remember selling a guy a house, and we're sitting there at the closing table, and one of the first things they do is, review the application and sign off again.
Yeah.
And the guy reviewed the application, and he's like, "This isn't accurate."
Yeah.
He said, He said, "This says I've been on my job for 3 years. I was in jail 2 months ago."
Oh, gosh.
Things. So I started seeing things like that, and so the title company's like, "I got to call the lender and let them know." And I'm like, "Okay, go ahead." And they went and called the lender, and the lender said, "Close it." I'm like, okay, this isn't good. I'm like, okay. So, you start seeing things like that. So I thought I had it all figured out. So I was like, I'm going to stockpile cash, flip houses, stockpile. And when this market crashes, I'm just going to buy everything up, you know? Well, the crash came, got stuck with my pants down with a bunch of houses.
Yeah.
Had to come to the table with hundreds of thousands of dollars to refinance and get out of them.
Yeah.
And, but yeah, that was definitely my favorite part, because I felt invincible. And now I'm like always questioning, like, all right, what's going on here? What's going on there? But
for sure. Dan, how about you? What's been your favorite part in real estate right now, or over the last several years? Because I know your background is you guys have owned several properties, in which, again, as you said, kind of was the catalyst to get you into a property management reality, because you're just like, we're just not satisfied with people, especially being in that 1 to 100 range. You definitely weren't getting serviced appropriately as like the 2 to whatever 1,000 unit properties.
I guess both in before '08 and present day, the coolest part about real estate is what else it would allow you to do.
Yeah.
Because ultimately money is relevant and money is needed, but that doesn't solve what we all need. It's not fulfillment, ultimately. No, what you do with it is a whole nother discussion there. But that was the thing, so back in the day, pre-08, when I was brilliant as well and things were happening, I learned some valuable lessons, but there were some very cool things when I was rolling with the money. I'd launched this media company at the time, and it was great fun, and it was cool things going on that we were involved with, but it was all funded where the money was about to disappear. But as far, I guess that to answer your question about what was favorite part about it, so there's the concise answer for that.
For sure.
I digress.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy how you say it too. It's just like you kind of see the trends like kind of happening, and you're like, oh wow. You don't realize you're going to get caught with your pants down with certain things, but you even though you see something kind of happen, you're just like, maybe another year. And even now, like when I switched into commercial versus residential, they were doing like no income verification loans and stuff like that. And I'm like, guys, like we just went through this.
Yeah.
Like I'm not even that old, and I know a time that this happened, and it's like. Which I'm not calling you guys old, by the way, but either way.
That's all right. The other day at a meeting, I was called the grandfather of the meeting.
Godfather.
I'm like 46 years old. Grandfather, come on.
My dad's 74, so that's old to me, right?
Yeah.
Sorry, Dad. But either way, like that's what's old to me. And I was high school, that was my senior year in high school, it was 2008. So
right.
I think that makes sense, 2009. Sorry, I was a junior in that. So that's just crazy. Like I remember that time of being tough for everyone, and it kind of blew up. But it's just like, dude, like, can you guys not realize the rhyming that's happening with what we're doing with these different loans and super crazy like qualification programs they're doing, stuff like that. So it made me think about that and laugh, because it's like, dude, we are on a trajectory for the same thing in a bubble that's being created right now too. And we know, and how significant inflation is just destroying the market. I mean, we just sold a friend's property 3 years ago. We sold it purchased it for like 160, 170, and they ended up selling it for well over 250. So, and it's just crazy, like the inflation in that, and just in downtown Crown Point. So it just blows me away that you cannot sustain that, especially when there's no increase in jobs or no increase in pay or anything like that as well. So now on the other side of that conversation or that question is the favorite thing. What was one of those really rough things or overlooks that you guys have had in your experience? But we'll talk with you, Brad, first, and then we'll go to Dan. But
I was going to push it off on you first so I can think. No, okay, I'll figure it out.
Yeah. So an overlook, but also what's one thing that you would have done differently if you could do that? I know it's a tough one.
I think success makes people think they're smarter than they are.
That's good.
So... And go back in 2008 I thought I was invincible, and I thought I was brilliant and all this, and I really realized I was just timed the market well. Yeah. That's all I did. And I see a lot of that going on now. Yep. A lot of people that are very smart, but aren't looking at the whole picture. So, so one of the biggest lessons I learned, I think, throughout that is the fundamentals never change.
Yeah.
If you focus on the fundamentals, that's what will get you through.
Yeah.
Don't get focused on hype. Yeah, you might miss some opportunity. I was just listening to a book, and the guy said, I struggle from this, is always feel like I'm going to miss out.
Yep.
I don't want to miss out on a deal. I don't want to miss out on, this. I don't, what's this? He says that's about as stupid as going to a buffet and thinking that you have to eat all the food.
Yeah.
No, you stick to what you want, what you're good at, what the fundamentals, what makes sense, and that's what you do. Yeah. You can't worry about everything else. So, I would say that's probably one of the biggest things that I learned. Going through some, we came this close to getting wiped out, but we didn't get wiped out, luckily. Yeah. But sure to heck put the fear of God in you,
absolutely.
So a lot of sleepless nights. And I think that was the biggest thing when I look back at it, is like, man, what was I thinking? Why was I putting that much risk? I knew the market was coming. Why was I caught that much with that much inventory, and things like that? So
I love that.
So.
It's so crazy though, and we'll get to Dan. It's like even at the buffet though, like I'm still guilty as well, and that's probably why I don't go to buffets. But everyone loads up their first plate, like so much, even though you know you're going to go for round 2 and 3.
Yeah, it's like it's not a one shop thing, and it's always the most random foods too. You have Chinese and a slice of pizza and some
covered in gravy,
sticks, and mashed potatoes,
and a chocolate swirl on top of it. It's like,
you would never order that, but yet you go there and that's what you get.
That's so
well,
true.
that's where you took my brain with it. I was thinking what I was going to say next with it. What do you mean you don't have to hit everything on the buffet? I thought that was like, part of the bargain. It was like they watch you if you don't. And so like, oh, well, apparently I can implement that.
There you go.
For sure. How about Dan? Same question. Like, what is an overlook that in your life? I mean, it could be real estate. It could be anything. I mean, it could be in business. Is really what I'm getting at. But
I'll give you 2 thoughts on that because one, literally last night I just shared this at a great networking group with this, and so one is that when I got in, I didn't find a networking group.
Yeah.
So in the early days, when wholesalers were offering stuff and the bankers were offering stuff, I didn't think I needed anybody.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. They'll sell me properties. They'll finance my properties, and it just kept cranking, and they all are the ones that profited. Yeah. But so what I've learned years later, and why I'm involved in these networking groups is, dang, that was how many years of slow learning and thumping my head on a wall could have been avoided by, hey, check this out. And the fun thing about networking groups too as well is that's where you find people that are grateful for those that invested in them because they're paying it forward with it. So the kind of people you find there are cool because there are some people out there that the way they do business, they're very protective because the dollar is most important to them, and they also don't want to be transparent to how they do it.
Why treat someone or why train somebody to pretty much take their job? That's the mindset most people have.
Yeah.
Trial and error is a horrible way to learn anything. Trial and error, and that's what you're talking about, is by networking and learning from other people's mistakes. And these people that like don't want to share, there's no secrets out there anymore. No. There's just, nobody's reinventing the wheel here.
And you're not special.
You're not. I mean, I learned that, people are like, why do you want to share this or why do you want to share that? I'm not doing anything special. I'm just hyper focused on one area and spend a lot of my time on it. For sure. So I'm good at it.
Yeah.
It's that simple, but I'd be more, what we do daily is nothing earth shattering. We just perfect what we do,
absolutely.
So
that's what I'd say. The second overlook that I had was management. And so the thing that I told them last night, and they asked me to share for a minute on there, is like the whole topic with management when you get to that. And I just told the group there's a bunch of newbies in there as well. I said, okay, lots of different ways to make money in real estate. I said, but the common factor that everybody should look at is buy and hold should be your end game with it, unless you want to keep doing whatever you're going to do until you can't breathe. So, but I said, when it does come to that time, for managing the property, I put it this way: either get good at it or get out of it.
Yep.
So where I went bad was I didn't know how important it was.
Yeah.
It was a side job to me, or even at that time we had a small company, but I'd never got good at it. And here's the other thing too, especially if you are a people person and you really need help with it, because that's the thing. I guess I'll throw
you need a guy like me. You need a jerk.
Or more detail-oriented and administrative.
Well, I guess, put it this way, one of the key ways I learned is that you don't do charity inside a business.
Oh, yeah. Nope.
Tight business where the numbers run and leaves you profit, and then charity on its own terms for the benefit with that. Yep. So with me, that was not a good mix. Like, I want to help people.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Professional tenant enters door, stage left. Oh, my landlord wants to help people.
Yeah. Let's take advantage of this. Yeah.
$7,000 later in back right.
It's
and the house
coming.
is destroyed.
Yeah, exactly.
So in essence, I lost the first
business
portfolio.
Will humble you real quick.
Yeah.
So
and tenants will, the bad ones will accelerate that. Anyway, so those two things. One is getting into a networking group in the early days with it, or even not even real estate, anything you're going to do in business, find somebody that has done what you're going to do and pick their brain. Then two, as far as management, either get good at it and focus on it or hand it off to somebody that is good at it.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. And I think what happens is what we do, I know I have and as men we isolate, right? It's like, we think we can do it ourselves, blah, 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 let's be an island, whatever. It never works the way we think it should. And even if we believe that we're created or not, the point is like we were supposed to connect. And you have to, and to elevate, because we all have our capacity and we need other people to align with us. And I say align versus come alongside, because oftentimes we come alongside with an idea, but we fail to align with the people. And what that does is it's like, I'm going to take this, it's cherry picking what you think is good, what's not, and then it's just like you're trying to apply it to your life. But if you don't have the appropriate people set up in place, like a property management company, it will implode, and it's because of you, and it's not recognizing your limits. And boundaries are a very good thing in emotional realities and relationships and whatever you do, but definitely in business, boundaries have to be set in place. And I appreciate that, because most people aren't even going to talk about it, let alone like, hey, this was a big mistake and I want to teach people this, because they just don't do it. So
I'll jump on that one real quick. Just one thought to take
absolutely.
a step further is I love the concepts of life growth into categories of dependence, independence, and interdependence.
Yeah.
So picture a kid growing up, they're very dependent, from diaper days, you're telling them what to do and somewhere in the transition, they leave the house, it's time for them to become independent. Okay, self-sufficient and take care of yourself. But as a mature adult, if you want to accomplish more, in that interdependence, we all have to realize that we've got strengths with a corresponding weakness.
Yep.
And if you're willing to A, acknowledge that, and B, put yourself in an environment where you can offset strengths and weaknesses, then bigger things are possible. Absolutely. But if you get stuck in that independent phase of I'm going to do what I'm capable of, and you
insert
hit
culture,
your ceiling.
insert entitlement, insert what we see in today's day and age, and it is what it is.
It's sad, but it's true.
Yeah,
so.
And it's unfortunate, but
it's and just to reiterate what you're talking about, and it's that interdependence thing. The reason why I'm successful, the reason why you're successful, I'm saying with you is the people we have around us.
Yep, 100%.
It's my team. That's what makes us, successful. And that's why property management is so unique. And I can see why so many independents struggle, because there's so many different skill sets to be really good at property management. There is so many different personalities, so many different skill sets that we use in our company in order to get the best results. Yeah. You don't want me going out there and talking to tenants and welcoming them, and you want me to throw down the hammer, right? I mean, that's really my role, is making the tough decisions. So, but I've learned a long time ago that I can't. I need those. I have wonderful, great personalities in my office. Dan's one of them. He's just greatest guy. I mean, I've never heard anybody say a negative thing about Dan. And
I'm sure we can kind of
if anybody has anything, please email me at no. So, but my point is going at something like management, because that's what we're here talking about. On your own, it's almost an impossibility in my eyes, because you have to have split personalities. Yep. You're going to be really good at some things, and maybe you'll limp along on other things, and whatever. But it's a unique thing like that, and it applies with life as well. As far as just surrounding yourself with those good, solid people.
Yeah, I mean, it's understanding your role, right? Yeah. Why operate and waste? Really, it's negative energy putting into something that you're never going to be good at. And I've heard people say like, "Oh, that's just manipulative." It's like, no, it's not. I'm allowing him to operate at the full extent of his capacity, and I'm allowing you to do it the exact same thing. And that's when you come alive, and that's when systems, right? We never rise to the occasion. We fall to the level of our systems.
Absolutely.
And that's where I want to lead to the next question is, in your systems, like what, because clearly you guys are wired separately, so what are some of your awesome traits, and what are some of your negative ones, if you don't mind me asking? No,
I have no problem, and anybody that knows me could probably point out my negative ones, but what I am good at, I think, is if you want a job done, that's who I am. I'm I'm a high type A personality, driver. That's really what I do. I'm the one that comes up with the systems. I know exactly the vision of what I want.
For sure.
But I'm not the one that's gonna implement those systems on a daily basis. That daily grind.
Yeah.
That's not me. So, I'm not, being a high D type A personality. The attention to detail is not there as much as it, an EB. Sure. I have people that do that.
Yeah. I was going to say, I know your disc is a D.
High D and a pretty high I, I like people, but I like people surfacey.
Absolutely.
I
love it.
Yeah.
No, I
am.
appreciate the honesty. I
really
do.
I mean, how many true dear friends I have are few and far between.
Yeah.
My wife is my best friend, and everybody else, I have great relationships, I have great friends, but I go out, drink, have a few drinks with them, go to a game with them, do this and that, but we're not sitting down, let's
talk about our feelings every single day.
How's your day?
Yeah.
No, but
let's post it.
Yeah.
So
guilty. No.
Yeah, so I could be very short, very impatient. I can be I just want give me the
stop being around the bush, dude.
Yeah,
just go for it.
And I can sometimes be too honest.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll get the job done.
No, I like that.
So
that's awesome. How about you, Dan?
Well, no. I am an SC, detail oriented and people minded. So I guess categorically I build through relationships.
You got some I in there too. You're pretty outgoing. Yeah.
You are. You're definitely.
Am I? Oh, no, I get awkward in the camera. Anyway,
you do a very good job of disarming people as well, and I think that's
an incredible job.
It's charismatic. People, it's crazy. Even like when we go to church, I just see Dan. It's like bloop, 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 just going out so many different places, and people they're excited. Their faces are excited to see you.
And he doesn't think he's an I.
Yeah, he doesn't. So he's like kind of sheepishly coming back, and it's like, no, you absolutely are. Like,
well, and I guess one thing is in how things work well together, I guess for who I am, what I am, I'm the spreadsheet that comes back with the 32 details on how to do what needs to get done, and left to myself, I'll spend a long time there, and it gets overdue if I get stuck in my rut with there. So that's why the analogy I love giving between the two roles is, if you have all leadership, you got and no management, you have a fireworks show that is so impressive and was away. But if you have all management and no leadership, you have yourself a very well organized nothing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you need the visionary, you need the integrator.
Absolutely.
There's an excellent book written about that, and it is called Rocket Fuel, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's it.
So cool excellent book,
but
EOS people.
It's you're familiar with the EOS system of management. It's a way of running companies.
Traction is
Traction's another one, and then I think the other book is What in the Heck is EOS, right?
Yeah.
So there's a few of them, but it is. I mean, I would be, and Dan and I, struggle with that sometimes. Dan's very detail oriented. I want direct to the point, so we'll be talking about something, and I'll be like, hey, he's brilliant and thorough, and I'm like, okay, I just need this part of it though, and it's just a different personalities, but without all those details, my vision or where we're going, those details are necessary. So it's you have to have both.
And I even tend to get sometimes belligerent on the need for the details, because my experiences, my history has been, I've been in a few different avenues that, for lack of those being acknowledged enough, blew the whole thing to crap. There was like amazing big cool things in motion that should have happened, but for lack of acknowledgement, again, it's got to be a balance, but so that's why sometimes I'm very passionate about, and that's why I guess along with that as well, I say a common thread between the two avenues is just doing things right and doing a win-win, because that ultimately, in the interest of stability, is essential as well. Because especially in real estate, and I assume any business, I always tell people this: okay, if at the end of the deal everybody wins, you get to do it again.
Yeah.
If somebody in the deal got smoked, you got to start over again.
Absolutely.
So do you want to spend your life starting over again, hoping people didn't talk to the last guy you did business with?
Absolutely.
Or do you want the guy you did business with saying, cool, I'm doing another one, and by the way, my buddy's up for a deal too.
Yeah, because eventually you run out of people.
Well, and this business is so small.
It really is.
I mean, just look at like when I met
movers and shakers. Yeah,
and just like when I met you guys, just sitting down talking, and we have a lot of same friends, a lot of the same, everybody knows everybody. Yeah, especially if you've had any kind of success in this business, is everybody's. It's a very tight world. very easy to get a bad reputation.
Oh yeah, very, very
you know, so yeah.
No, that's crazy, and it's interesting. If you can you how much time?
25 minutes.
25 minutes, okay.
Yeah.
It's just switching. Of course, I have the stupid privacy screen on there. So no, it's crazy to see how both of you, because I'm a CD, so it's like I do have the details, but I also realize that I get inundated with them and I have to do stuff. So sometimes like instead of getting crazy. Like,
you must drive yourself nuts.
Oh, that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm genuinely, it is
Yeah.
the worst combination of stuff on the planet, because it is. I mean, I'm thinking about 13 different conversations that we're never going to have right now, and it's like, well, which one do I pick? Which one do I choose? It's just like,
right.
dude, it's crazy. So I've been watching Monk with my girlfriend. We just started last night, and I just like I remember how much the show comforted me, because I'm like, man, there's somebody else out there that
I'm not the only
I'm
one.
not the only one. Obviously, that's a crazy exaggerated degree, but
right.
it's like, man, like I just felt peace watching the show. Inside of his anxiety, I'm just like, okay, it's great. So I appreciate hearing other people's perspectives there, because it just gives, it allows me to empathize and really see how other people operate. But since we do have just a little bit of time left, what I want to talk about is, guys, why property management, right? I know you said like the systems and stuff like that, but take us through like a 5-step process of what that looks like. Not necessarily the nuts and bolts of your guys' stuff, but
sure.
Why property management, and what do you guys do differently?
Well,
what do you
do
similarly that, again, you don't need to recreate the wheel? So
yeah, I mean, like I said, nothing we do is dramatically earth-shattering. But let me back up here. You first said why, and here's the thing is, like we talked about. In my opinion, there's nothing more important than management in real estate.
Yeah.
I build businesses and I buy real estate, and then I help other people do it as well. Not so much on the buying side, we do a little bit, but anyways, when it comes down to it, is people don't like rental real estate. They don't want to deal with tenants. It's not sexy.
Yeah, it's not. I've
tried. And people are like, they love seeing, I flipped this house and I made $50,000, and that's sexy. It's not, hey, I did all this, and I'm making $300 a month. Woo! But building a $30 million portfolio, now that's sexy.
Absolutely.
And but it's a grind, and with that in mind, what kills rental real estate is poor management. So that is why I'm like, if I'm going to be hyper focused, that's what I don't like starting over.
Yeah.
When I flipped houses, I made a lot of money, did, a lot of great stuff, but I was starting over. I was constantly, starting over, and I hate that. So I like the residuals.
Yeah.
And I'm like, if I'm going to focus on that, I need to focus on property management. What is the problem with property management? So we had a couple big clients that we worked with for years, and that's all we were focused on was big clients. Yeah. And it's fairly recently that we started working with smaller clients. And basically what we developed is most managers are portfolio managers.
Yeah.
We are departmental managers. Now, what does that mean? Portfolio managers is Dan's your manager.
Yeah.
And Dan shows houses. He does collections. He does this. He does that. It's Dan's your manager.
Yeah.
And that's how a lot of places do it, because that's how they have to do it. Mm-hmm. We're a little bit bigger company.
Yeah.
Now we're part of a big franchise now. So 100,000 properties we manage, all over the place, 350 offices. I'm one office, independent, but what's nice is we have a lot of resources from them. So, we are departmental. So in other words, I have one person that handles applications.
Okay.
So those applications, which is a huge deal, like everyone, okay, of course, you take application, you do, you do a background check, you do a criminal check. Well, everybody does that. All right. How do you verify income that's not verifiable?
Yeah.
We have ways of doing that.
Okay.
How do you know, a huge problem? You want to see something scary as heck? Google fake pay stubs.
Is it pretty?
There's services out there that will help you create fake pay stubs that you'll never be able to tell the difference.
Pay for the fake pay stubs, right?
Yeah.
And social security numbers.
Yeah. So just Google it. It's like, it's unbelievable. Service animals, that's a huge hot topic. You can get sued for discriminating, but then you have people that are taking advantage. How do you handle that?
Absolutely.
So we have ways to handle it. Same thing. You can type in fake service animal certification, and there's all these places that, and there's laws that have to be followed. You know, we have ways to verify that information, to put them through, to make sure that I truly want to help people that need that. You know, say if it's a service animal, you know, maybe it's PTSD. Of course, you know, a veteran. I'm a veteran. Yeah. You know, I never want to take that away. But then I have friends that, you know, brag about how they're screwing over the system because now they get to bring their pet to work with them and stuff because they say that stuff irritates the hell out of me.
I'm steaming here just thinking about it.
You know, so. You know, what do we do differently is, I don't know if anyone ever looks at an application that way. Not only that, but like a big thing right now is, you know, people getting sued for discrimination. Things that they don't even know they can be sued for. Maybe it's, you know, you accidentally discriminate against. People don't realize that you can't, you know, say in your advertisement that it's across the street from a school. You know, or that there's a certain church nearby.
Absolutely.
You know,
the house has a family room.
Now it's a family room.
Or anything.
Do you know that you cannot blanket eliminate felons?
Really?
It's discrimination. So and you know, God bless our friends at, you know, HUD. They have, you know, the best interest in mind, I think, but they don't give us very good guidelines.
I don't think they do have the best interest.
You know, so they're like you can't just blanket eliminate felons. I'm like, okay, well, what can you do? You know, and what it is what they said is it's what's the word? It's affecting one group of people a lot more than it is another you know, another group of people. So they're saying, listen, you can't do that. You can't, and I understand their concept. You can't treat a, you know, felony DUI from 25 years ago the same as you would, you know. So there's got to be different things. But do most people know that? No. And here's the other thing is, are you treating everybody truly equal? And what I mean by that is, like, when we go through an application, it's a score system. You know, so basically you can pull my app from today that I pulled somebody and somebody, you know, we did 5 years ago and they're treated the same.
Absolutely.
You know, sometimes we adjust our scoring because we find like, hey, you know, we got to do this or we got to do that or, you know, and if somebody ever comes to me and say, hey, you discriminated, and I have a friend right now down in Indianapolis being sued because he's being accused of discrimination. He follows the same system I do. And he's like, well, here you go. I mean, you know, there's nowhere in there does it say, you know, do they have a family? Are they, you know, what's their race? None of that even comes into account in our, you know, application. So things like that, and that's just one thing. That's applications, you know, and we do that with maintenance. We do that with with everything. And the thing is I take people that have certain set of skills and I put them in a job that they're going to be really, really good at.
Hyper focused, like you said.
Hyper focused on one thing. So, you know, do we think we're better than self-managing? Heck yeah. You know, just purely on that, you know. So, but I don't want to take up all the time here. Dan, chime in there. So.
Sure. Well, I say one of the things we do different as well that I saw, another reason why I ended up in this is a lot of times never seeing partly the last 2 points together as far as people hitting their limits, because a lot of times you see companies that get larger, whether they're their own in-house or that they were selling and portfolio building with it, they capped at a certain level. It's pretty predictable in the margins because they didn't have a full-blown system. They had a funnel point and choked it. But the other thing that was a problem that I saw is that because management is a delicate thing. I mean, the short version, the biggest margins on the whole-sale, next biggest is on the rehab, next biggest is on leasing, and the smallest margin is on that. But that's where all the cash flow comes out of. But it's hard to get people in the business to take care of that. What happens is so many people, whether it's in-house or they're selling them, because of the big money to be made on transactions, they're absorbing poor systems on the management end, and sooner or later it struggles, collapses,
it's an afterthought.
And that's why people, you and I both know, is like
secondary, tertiary down the road, and it does,
they're running around, focus. And so these people run around trying to hire people to say, hey, you want to go manage these properties? Where are they? I'll never do it. How do you do it? Okay, and then, so you have somebody managing your $1 million portfolio that just walked out of Taco Bell.
Exactly.
And how does that play out?
Not well.
Exactly.
But all right, well, we are super close on the time, guys. Hey, I mean, this is probably a multiple podcast conversation. But I super appreciate you guys coming on today. And more than anything, I will put links down here. So if you guys want to reach out to them directly, we'll do a link to their website below. And then,
do we got to do the like?
I think the like, subscribe, share. Thank you guys for another episode with On with Sean. And again, this is
appreciate
Brad,
you having us.
Yeah,
this is great.
It's Brad and Dan, and their links are going to be below. I'm not going to try and butcher his last name again because
Mestina.
Brad Mestina and Dan Mock. I don't know why
help you with that.
It's just weird for me, but Mestina. You guys are welcome. Brad Mestina. It's in my head now. All right, appreciate you guys, and we'll get everything else below. All right, take care.
Appreciate it.
Bye.